055-89-560-KKTX. Councilwoman Colleen McIntyre in the box with Chief Floyd Simpson. Mark Shower did an admirable job last week.
Yeah, he's a great guy. I got a bunch of great guys. I'm really proud of them. I actually, I'm cruising along on my bike. I did a little motorcycle ride from a vacation, my man vacation.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually listened on iHeart to the show.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
That
day, while riding on the motorcycle.
Only that day?
Well, that day,
okay.
yes.
Yeah,
that day.
That's good.
Yeah.
And he covered some really important things and stuff that he has, especially with the animal control, animal care, whatever we're calling it these days.
Yeah.
He's been in on that, and of course the possum stuff, and
that actually takes a lot of my time.
It does?
Animal control, yes.
Just talking about it. I didn't know that you had adoption facilities at the place where you collect the animals.
Yeah, people don't. It's a multifaceted, very complex ordeal, and it's staffed by people who love animals.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very stressful for them because they sometimes have to euthanize. And then they have caged. It's a very, very stressful, politically charged department.
It is.
That's where we adopted our dog. We got her from animal control.
Yeah, and they're some of the best dogs and cats that you ever want to see. Mm-hmm. And, there's times when, unfortunately, we have to euthanize them. And that is, that's a very, very stressful thing to do.
I was talking with Mark Scott the other day. He has run into a problem with his dog,
Mm-hmm.
being a tad aggressive.
Oh, wow.
And the guy that helps train dogs for the police department.
Yeah, he's a retired Michigan State Police.
Yeah.
Professional dog trainer. Yes.
I think Mr. Scott's dog picked up this tendency to growl and snap at you.
Wow.
Because somebody, I don't want to say abused him, but just used some tactics on him that are just wrong. But I told him to give you a call and get that guy's number because that guy can break him of that. If there's anybody that can,
yes,
and he can tell Mark the things to do and remind him, look, you can only do this for about 5 minutes a day.
Yeah, if you look at our dogs, they get aggressive on command. All the other times they're around kindergarten kids,
right.
And they're you can ride on. They jump on them, they pull their ears, their tails. But the minute that trainer says, "Okay, time for business,"
whatever the word is,
whole totally different dog.
Right.
Yeah.
You have a word for getting them ready.
Yes.
To alert them that you're getting them in the attack mode, and then the word for attack, and all of a sudden,
and all I want to do is work.
Yeah.
And it's pretty amazing.
Well, it's a game to them.
Yes.
You put it to them in a form of game, and
yes,
they know there's a reward right around the corner.
They'll do anything you tell them.
You missed some really exciting stuff. One of the things, I think, is that meeting that the city had with make suggestions about what kind of city you want.
Yeah.
The vision.
I'll follow it in the newspaper, yeah.
The only problem there is there was not an avenue to explore with neighborhood streets.
Yes.
And I've made it a mission to mark off an area in different parts. And it's a police map.
Sure.
It's the district map.
Sure.
And have gone around to the different districts. And boy, it's just really horrible.
Sure.
Wear and tear on your cars.
Yeah.
Yes.
It decreases the value of the neighborhood. It makes people want to move to go to these more accessible, nicer roaded, nicer landscaped neighborhoods if they're possible. But it didn't have much about the new police academies that we need, nor the fire department academies that are going to be needed as well.
Yeah, and we desperately need to be part of that conversation.
Well, this was nothing about the real definable goal of government.
Well, I think because the goal of this is to have a policy document for planning and zoning purposes, for infrastructure, for where and what will be built, as opposed to general operations. So this is when someone says, I want to build something out here, this is what it's going to be zoned as. It's a legal document as opposed to just a vision for operations or staffing and what we want to be, which is, I think, that the pieces you're talking about is our commitment to public safety, which is there, but it's not within this document.
Yeah, and I agree with that. And, for example, the building of Schlitterbahn, I would imagine that discussion had been had. I think we're going to be able to service that business with what we have, because I don't think that people will go out in waves. They're not going to show up all at the same time and leave at the same time.
That's what your traffic studies have led you.
Correct.
Right.
And so we don't believe that we're going to be asking for staffing increases just because we have Schlitterbahn. But if there are other entities slated to come, or if we're preparing to attract more, then we ought to start talking about that as we move forward. And it very well may be that I'll come back and go, we don't need anything to deal with that. But at least we've explored it, and I think that it's probably good business to include police and fire and code and all of that stuff.
Are we up to 7-day staffing at the island substation yet?
We're still working on that.
We're still working on that?
Yeah. But for the most part, it's open. But we're still trying to get to a point that we're going to bring other services out there, and that's frankly going to help us keep the doors open longer.
We had this weekend a rash of car burglaries out there. You got anything on that? Yeah.
I hadn't got it yet, but it doesn't surprise me. Yeah.
Where was that? All concentrated?
Cruiser, I think. Yeah, I think there were several cars. I think it was Cruiser.
So how many cars?
I saw it from Facebook, so I wouldn't guarantee it, but I thought that they said, I thought they said 7.
7 cars?
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to know about that, and I'll find out about it today.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So we love having that station out there, love having it, would love to have it manned full time, because that's one of the big conversations out on the island, of course.
I'd love to man it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does the location of that, does that lend itself to that's somebody that lives here, or that's somebody that's driving in from a different place? Because you have to have...
You mean the offenses that occur there?
Yeah.
Yeah, typically what happens, and at the risk of saying blaming the victim, I'm certainly not doing that in this case, but people, this is based on what we find, leave stuff out in the open, computers on the seats, cash in the center console, and they make themselves vulnerable for people who are opportunistic, and they're out looking to do harm to people by way of burglarizing their cars. We try to preach hardening your target and causing them to go to the next car, because that makes a difference. Now, people are going to break into cars anyway. We get that. But if you make it harder, they'll have a tendency not to break into yours and go to the next guys.
And why, Colleen, do you think having a station that's manned will cut down on that?
What we really want as a presence in general is that coverage out there and a presence out there, so that we always know that there's an officer there, other than the speed traps on Whitecap that we periodically get in on the Park Road.
Right.
And while you can't, I know that the chief is working really hard at balancing that proactive policing and reactive policing, and you can't be on every street at the island at all times. But to be able to be out there quickly enough when there is something going on, and to have residents know that there is an officer this side of the causeway if something does happen, We got a couple schools out there, things that can happen, and you want to make sure that you have an officer that is within 5 minutes of our area of town, of every area of town.
Yeah. I would like to respond a little bit to that. If you need to go to a break, I'll do it after.
All right.
Okay.
You're going. All right. How am I going to get you back into that? What's the question?
Well, the other part of that is service delivery and traffic of our officers going to and from the substation. Now,
Right.
just because that thing is physically there, probably won't have a huge impact on response times, which are pretty good for the ones that we measure now, prompt and emergency.
All right, hold on. News Radio 1360 KKTX. Chief Floyd Simpson in the box, Councilwoman Colleen McIntyre, and we were talking about the manned station out on the island.
Yes.
And the chief was talking about response times.
Yes.
All right.
I think for prompt and emergency call response, I think that we're doing pretty much on the island what's happening throughout the city, and we're making our goal. Our goal is 8 minutes and 22 seconds. And how we measure that is the percentage of times that we make that go, and we're at about 93%, which I think is pretty good. Our goal is 90. We make 93%. We make it in time 93% of the time. The issue is waiting for burglaries, BMVs, those types of things. It probably takes too long. Not probably, it does take too long for us to respond to those types of calls. And that's where that 30-30 thing comes in that we always talking about, having enough staffing to do proactive policing versus call response and not pulling police officers from their regular work beats. So there could be times that a person is working on the island and they get pulled off to go and answer a call somewhere else.
Right.
And so that's the part that I'm trying to get a handle on. That's only going to be solved with probably some more staffing.
Well, here's the other part of that doesn't get figured in, and I've seen two instances of that, and one of them happened out on the island because there's a police officer that lives out there.
Yeah.
Beach club. There were some people making off with something he thought that was suspicious because he didn't remember that car.
Yeah.
He called it in. He went over there, slowed the entire process down, and then I think it was in May, one of those things happened in my neighborhood.
Yes.
Where an off-duty policeman thought, what's that car doing parked over there?
Yeah.
Your off-duty guys, even in their time off, when they see something suspicious,
That's what
they check it out.
That's what the public doesn't get, and that frankly they don't get credit for, is that they're working 24/7. And the beauty in this department that I hadn't seen in other departments is that the bulk of the workforce is made up of people who were born and raised here.
Yeah.
And so they have a vested interest, and they're truly engaged, whether they're on duty or off duty. And we've solved a lot of crimes with officers that have been off duty that acted. And so that makes my life easier, and the public doesn't get that.
Well, to be in a position where you think to yourself, that doesn't look right.
Yes.
Right.
This is my job.
I can do something about
it.
That's right.
Yes, I can do something about it. And I'm going to go over there and make sure. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions.
There are cities where those police officers will just go, oh, well, and drive right by it.
Not Corpus Christi.
Not in this city. Yeah, and that makes me stick my chest out. And I've been sending my guys away for training, and they come back. Mike Alanis just came back from the FBI Academy. Mike Markle just came back from Leeds, which is law enforcement executive development course. John Houston just came back from Boston University, and they all come back with their chest out going, man, we're pretty good. Because they've compared themselves against their counterparts around the country, and they know that what we have is a wonderful thing, and they come back with a little more bounce in their step, and that's what I want. It seems like, from the outside guy coming in, we suffer from a lack of confidence, and we suffer from this. We're not. It's never going to be
Well, we've had that beat into us for a long time. We can't do this. We can't do that. We can't afford this. We can't afford that.
That's certainly not the case from a guy with an outside eye coming in and going.
Well, you also talked about three very qualified, way above average.
Yes.
Human beings.
Yeah, the only part that makes me nervous about sending them away is somebody else.
Somebody's going to hire them.
yeah. And it's already happened with Heidi.
Well, I thought, Markle probably made a real big impression on the people around him.
Yes.
Because he's just one of those kind of people. And so is Houston.
Right.
And so is
Shower. JV. I mean, JV's at the end of his career.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, he didn't get the opportunity to travel like that, or he may have been gone.
So. When Assistant Chief Shower was here, I think the Friday before his visit, I was on my way home, and right out here on the freeway, there were 6 vehicles that had been pulled over. Mm-hmm. There was a cop car, an SUV, a motorcycle behind each one. I'd never seen that.
Yeah.
Right.
And all the time. I know summer is a good time for speeding tickets, but boy.
We Councilmember McIntyre calls them speed traps. And I cringe every time she says that. What we're doing is selective enforcement. And the proof or the measure is a reduction in injury, accidents, and a reduction in fatal crashes. And we're seeing some benefits there. Just this morning, I know Sam talked about it, 100 miles per hour on Highway 37. I think that's ridiculous.
Is that Lincoln?
That's insanity.
Yes, car?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so, I'm starting to hear, man, if you go into Corpus Christi, you should slow down because you'll probably get pulled over. That's what I want to hear. Because we want people to slow down and stop the madness of killing our residents and maiming them. And then also we want to create a safe community. And the traffic stop is old school policing. It'll lead to all kinds of things.
The National Motorists Association just came out with a report on speeding tickets. Mm-hmm. The top 10 states for speeding tickets, the average cost of a speeding ticket, some facts from Traffic Ticket Secrets, and who gets the most speeding tickets?
Not me.
Men or women? All that. And Texas made the top 10. We didn't make the bottom. We didn't make the top. We're right in the middle. I'll tell you about it coming up. News Radio 1360 KKTX 835. City Councilwoman Colleen McIntyre and Chief Floyd Simpson in the box. There has been a concerted effort to stop or slow down people, especially on the expressways. And I've seen evidence of that, as have you. It's still puzzling to me how so many people can I figure they don't have to obey the law when it comes to cell phones. But I have seen some people being very creative in the way that they are hiding using their cell phones. I came across this quite by accident. It's from the National Motorists Association, and it outlines some of the reasons you might want to think about leaving the house a little bit earlier or just not speeding at all. This is for those of us who travel by car, and Colleen and I were just talking about this earlier. The TSA is instituting a new fee for airline tickets. Your airline ticket is going to go up $5.60 per stop. That means from here to San Antonio to wherever you're going, and God forbid you have to make another change.
Yeah.
There's about $18 that's going to be added on to your ticket. Each ticket.
Each stop. Wow.
So if I think it's going to mean that more people will be traveling by car. If it's a multi-state trip to a vacation destination, as the chief just took, here are some of the states it might be advisable to slow down. Number 10, Connecticut. They issue these are the states that issue the most speeding tickets. Mm-hmm. Connecticut. Number 9, Massachusetts. Number 8, North Carolina. Number 7, Virginia. Number 6, Georgia. Number 5, Texas. Number 4, California. Number 3, New York. Number 2, Pennsylvania. Number 1, Ohio.
Wow.
I'm hitting 2 of those next week. So
You
I
are?
have to make sure I drive carefully.
Use that cruise control.
Average cost of a traffic ticket, by the way, $150.
Wow.
That also means you're going to pay an average of $300 a pop over the next 2 years in higher insurance fees.
Sure.
The maximum fines for speeding vary by more than $2,400 between states.
$2,400?
Yeah, Virginia and Illinois have the most expensive speeding fines. The maximum set at $2,500. Virginia and Illinois. Following that, Georgia, Nevada, with maximum fines of $2,000 each.
Wow.
Now, here are some interesting facts about tickets. Over 100,000 people a day receive speeding tickets in this country. That works out to 41 million speeding tickets a year. The average speeding ticket costs $150. If you do the math, it's over $6 billion a year in speeding.
Big industry.
Speeding alone, $6 billion. And the average raise in your insurance for one speeding ticket over the course of the next 3 years is $1,050. 95% of the people who receive a speeding ticket never contest it, just pay the fine.
Because they're speeding.
Well, and one of the main reasons contested, police officers not showing up for court.
Right. And that's some of the stuff that happens here, too, because there's oftentimes competing interests. So if I'm going to court with a county on a murder charge versus going to court for a speeding ticket, then we've got to go for the murder charge.
Who gets the most speeding tickets?
It's not fair because you told me.
We saw the answer, Kate.
More men than women.
Yeah. I would have gotten that wrong.
And it's people between 17 and 24 years of age.
Yeah.
Doctors receive more speeding tickets than any other profession. Doctors.
Wow.
Now, here's something I thought was infinitely interesting. The average traffic cop will cost the city about, this is a nationwide average, $75,000 a year in salary, bonuses, and benefits. Mm-hmm. The same police officer will make the city an average of $200,000 a year in traffic ticket fines.
Wow.
Now, that's not a bad return on your investment.
It's about saving lives.
It keeps the roads safer, too.
Yeah, that's right.
But
I was, when you guys had that high-speed chase out toward the guy that did his high-speed chase out to the island.
Yes.
I don't know where he thought he was going to go after that.
Right.
I literally was missed by that guy by less than a foot.
Oh, my God.
I was driving down the road at the time that they came through and missed him by less than a foot. I don't know how fast he was going, but I tell you, speed does.
you were
cause
right there in the
accidents.
chase.
I was right there in the chase. My daughter and I were. Whoa. He was going to do a leap. He had seen it on TV.
He wasn't going to make it. Yeah.
What are you, in the excuse business for ne'er-do-wells?
But yeah, we talk about that. I think those are, and my staff know, I kind of call that stuff gee whiz stats. The bottom line is we're going to keep up our traffic enforcement because we're seeing some benefit from injuries and deaths.
What you had the numbers on fatalities over the last couple of years and what's happened to them with enforcement.
So when I took over, there were 35 deaths and 11. Then we started our push because if we're concerned about homicides, which we are, we ought to equally be concerned about people dying on the roadways. Mm-hmm. And so we got that number down to 27. And then last year, 2013, we had 20. Which was the lowest since 1993. And so far this year, we're on pace to have about 20. And so we think we think we matter. We don't. I can't concretely say we're the smoking gun that's causing the decrease.
That's inside the city limits.
Yes, in our city.
So that stuff that happens on the perimeter,
we don't count that.
Okay.
Yeah. So we think we're doing an okay job, but would like to do better.
And are the well, I'll get to that in a minute. We had a guy call in last week or week before last about that bump. You remember on Shoreline by the new apartments? Said there was, I meant to say this the next day. My wife, Pamela, brought it up yesterday or the day before when we were going. Oh, it was Saturday night. We couldn't find the bump.
Bump.
Remember when he called in and said they tore up the road? I couldn't find it. All right. Wally, good morning. Welcome to Lago in the Morning.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, how's my favorite shorty policeman?
Still short. A little shorter after my motorcycle ride.
Or what did you go to?
I went all over the Southeast, New Orleans, Shreveport, Dallas.
You go to New Orleans, you probably get shot over there.
I didn't want. It happened. It was okay.
Well, I just came back from Germany.
How to try and do a better job from the city's perspective on dealing with that community, whatever that's going to be. And so it's just kind of a fact-finding mission, just being nosy.
And one of the concerns that the city has, the ability to have the greatest impact on ourselves is the number of public intoxication arrests, both in the homeless community and in general.
Yes.
And the strain that it puts on our CDC and minimizing the time that the officers are off the street, but having the greatest impact on those that we're arresting. And so that's one of the things that we're looking at is the possibility of a detox center and how that would work. And so visiting Charlie's place is something that I'm curious about and seeing how that might work with what we're doing.
One of the areas that raises my concern is starting something that you can never get out of, and it becoming more expensive and more expensive and more expensive down the road. Sure. And government programs have a habit of doing that until you can't stop them because it's politically it's suicide. Right. You mean you don't care about those people? And you can't say, look, it's not working.
Yeah, and that is a risk.
That's why we're looking at it really closely before we do anything and really examining what it's going to be.
When you have credentialed people coming up with excuses for people who are not really buying in to the program, but are just doing it because it's something
it's going to give me a sandwich.
Expedient, then you've got to have somebody that is aware enough to say, you know what, you're full of it, you're gaming the system, and I don't care if this is politically incorrect, but you're out of here.
Yeah. And those are the people we're looking for, and we think we've identified a few in this town today that are willing to do that.
All right. I hope you're right.
I hope so.
I've seen I've seen the business model, and this business model doesn't cost anything.
Yeah.
It's a group of people who volunteer to come together and share their experiences, strength, and hope, and leave $1 in the tin, and it pretty much runs itself. And those who want to do it, who understand you can't keep making excuses or rationalize yourself out of this. Yeah. You actually have to do it.
Yeah.
And it's hard.
And I think our eyes are open as wide as they can possibly be.
All right.
Certainly, we don't know what we don't know. The other part is that we've got zoning options, ordinances, and a little bit of money. And when you talk about ordinances, it's going to be a hellacious fight because there are going to be people coming out arguing against some of those very hardcore things that you're talking about that we want to institute.
Right. And the other piece of this is what it does. We have guys that are arrested 3 times in a day for public intoxication. That's not benefiting our residents at all. And it costs an awful lot of money to arrest them and put them through the CDC for 4 hours only to have them come out and get arrested again, because a lot of the pieces that a judge can look at and say this is what manifests as public intoxication also is schizophrenia, also is other things. And so we have to really start looking at what some of those components are and how we're best going to deal with them with the resources that we have available.
Yeah. Well, and maybe as we plan, Jim, and we plan an exit strategy. I mean, maybe we say if we're not having an impact in a year, then everybody knows up front we're going to scrap it.
Well, a lot of this is a mental health problem.
Right.
Sure, I'm not saying all of it, but I'm just saying that there are people who are so afraid of making a change that they will keep doing the same thing over and over and over and over.
Yes.
Even as disgusting as it is, it's familiar.
Yeah.
For them.
Right.
So we should have a reconnection piece to our project.
Right.
And that is we're going to reconnect you with your family wherever they may be.
Unfortunately, you're going to hire somebody to do that, and they're going to have a different concept of that.
Well, it's a rosy. It's a rosy way to say we're going to buy you a Greyhound bus ticket and send you back
to your family.
Right.
President Obama is going through that now. The United States has turned into that sobriety center.
Yeah.
And everybody's coming. And we all want chicken on the grounds.
Yeah. So in a minute or less, July 4th.
Right.
We're going to have extra help out there. So if you're drinking and driving, I'm going to catch you. That's my aim. And we're going to cause you to, dig in your back pocket to get out of that. And if you're a 2- and 3-time convicted person, then we're going to be shooting higher to try to change your behavior. Also, there's several events going on. Our Big Bang celebration that we're having, along with a hooks game, along with stuff going on down on the Lex and all over the place. And so traffic's going to be really, really bad around that same time. And so we're asking people to pack patience and plan accordingly as they come and go. I'm told probably a better way to leave those venues is towards Portland, hit the Joe Fulton corridor, come back around 286 and go. It may be 20 minutes out of your way, but it may save you an hour or so. Have fun and enjoy.
We'll
happy
check in
4th of July.
We'll check in with the chief as we get closer to the Big Bang.
Yes.
Colleen, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have yourself a Bluebell Country Day.